All right, let's talk about something that's a little strange and, frankly, a little scary. We're going to dive into a hidden danger that could be lurking in something as simple as a glass of water. It's a mystery that begins with what seems like a good thing, great tasting water, but could end with a pretty serious health risk. I know it sounds completely backward, right? We're always told to look for water that's clear, that doesn't smell, that tastes clean. But what if the very thing that makes your water taste exceptionally good is actually a major warning sign in disguise? And this is where the illusion really comes into play. On one hand, we think pure, safe water should have almost no taste at all. But on the other hand, we have the bizarre reality that water contaminated with lead can actually have a noticeably sweet taste. It's a dangerous case of misinterpreting the evidence. So let's really break this down. Why would our own sense of taste, something we rely on every single day, betray us when it comes to something as fundamental as water? You see, the real issue is that a taste that seems too good can be masking something seriously wrong. It's not like other water problems that give you an obvious heads up, like the rotten egg smell of sulfur or that metallic taste of iron. This contaminant shows up looking like a feature, not a bug. So, it's time to unmask the culprit behind this whole sweet-tasting deception. What is it exactly, and why is it so good at tricking our senses? The culprit is lead. And when you look at its taste profile, well, you can see it's the perfect disguise. It's mildly sweet, and it can give water this smooth, almost silky feel. But what's really key here is that it has none of those alarm bells we're used to. No chlorine smell, no metallic tang, no nasty sulfur odor, nothing. And get this isn't some new discovery. The deceptive sweetness of lead has been fooling people for centuries. The ancient Romans, for example, actually preferred to use lead-lined pots to make their wine because they thought it made it taste better. They were literally and unknowingly poisoning themselves just for a sweeter drink. Okay, so we've identified our suspect. Now it's time to investigate the scene of the crime, which, in this case, could be the pipes running right through your own home. So, think about it for a second. Where could these clues be hiding in your house? The signs are really subtle for sure, but once you know what to look for, a pattern might start to emerge that points directly to a potential problem with your plumbing. This table breaks it down so well. See if this sounds familiar. Does your first glass of water in the morning taste the sweetest? Well, that's because lead has had all night to leach out of the pipes while the water was just sitting there. Then, does that sweet taste kind of fade away after you let the tap run for a minute? Yep, that's because you've just flushed out that contaminated water. And if it only happens at home, that's a huge clue that the problem is in your local pipes. And beyond just the timing, there are other big signs. Is your home older, maybe with its original plumbing? That's a huge risk factor. Does the water feel almost silky when you drink it? And here's the kicker. Does your tap water taste better than bottled water? Like noticeably sweeter? That's another red flag. Now, the environmental clues, that's one half of the story. The other half involves your health. And this is where it gets really tricky, because the signs of low-level lead exposure are incredibly subtle and just so easy to dismiss. And I really want to stress this. We are not talking about sudden, severe poisoning. These are symptoms that creep up on you slowly from long-term exposure. And that's exactly why this problem can go completely unnoticed for years. It's just so easy to blame it on stress or getting older or, just life. I mean, just look at this list and you'll see how vague these symptoms can be. Trouble concentrating, feeling more irritable. Who doesn't feel that way sometimes? Or maybe it's just some vague stomach discomfort or feeling tired all the time. And ironically, over time, it can even make your overall sense of taste a bit duller. Any one of these could easily be explained away. All right, let's switch gears and get practical. Instead of just worrying, let's be proactive. Here is a super simple 4-question checklist that you can use right now to do a quick gut check on your own situation. So just ask yourself these 4 things. 1. Is your home older with plumbing that might be original? 2. Is that sweet taste the strongest with the very first glass of water in the morning? 3. Does it get much better after you let the tap run for a minute or two? And 4. Is this a taste you only notice with your home's tap water? So here's the takeaway. If you answered yes to 2 or more of those questions, please don't panic. It doesn't mean you have a problem for sure. It just means it's absolutely worth taking that next step to get a real, definitive answer. And that brings us to the most important part of all of this, the solution. If you even suspect there might be a problem, there's a really clear 3-part strategy to solve the mystery and make sure your water is safe. The path forward here is really straightforward. Step 1, you get your water tested to know for sure what you're dealing with. Step 2, you can immediately start using a few simple habits to lower your exposure. And step 3, you install a proper filter as a long-term fix. Let's look at those habits, because you can start these today. First, always run the cold water for a minute or 2 in the morning to flush out any water that's been sitting in the pipes overnight. And this next one is critical. Never, ever use water from the hot tap for drinking or cooking. Hot water dissolves lead from pipes way more easily than cold water does. Now, when it comes to filters, listen up, because this detail is absolutely critical. Any filter you buy must be NSF certified. That's a public health and safety organization, and it needs to say right there on the box that it is specifically rated for lead removal. A basic filter that just makes water taste better won't necessarily get the lead out. So, how do you tell the difference between the good kind of sweet water and the bad kind? This slide gives you that final clue. The sweetness you get from good minerals, like in spring water, is usually crisp and clean. It doesn't hang around. But the sweetness from lead, that's often described as unnatural, kind of clingy. It's a taste that lingers in a way that just feels a little bit off. So let's end on the one sentence you should remember from all of this. Sweet water itself isn't the enemy, but water that is abnormally sweet, persistently sweet, and only sweet in one specific place, that is a signal that absolutely demands your attention. So what is your water trying to tell you?